Hey there, sports fans. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Welcome to 10 Yards Back with me, Jim, and this, my fourth major microphone change-up. Just trying something new, seeing how it fits. So welcome to my predictions for Round 8, and in this video, I'll be giving you my predictions for your Thursday night opener, the weekend opener, Hull FC versus St Helens. This is St Helens' second visit to Hull in about 3 weeks, I believe. Hull visit Hull quite often, so they'll feel quite at home at the MKM Stadium on Thursday night. Two teams kind of on very different form. If we look at the recent form of both teams, it's kind of the opposite, really. It seems like when Saints are winning, Hull are kind of losing. A couple of joint opponents there. Bradford, both beat Bradford. Both lost to Hull KR, though St Helens were obliterated by Hull KR, and Hull FC kind of put up a good show, I thought, on Good Friday. Not convincing, but way better than Saints. Catalans both won. But on the whole, St Helens kind of in good form here. Won in the Challenge Cup last week. Won against their rivals Wigan on Good Friday. Rivals, round. So St Helens kind of the on-form team here. Generally, in the league, though, if you look at the stats, and of course stats don't decide games, they just give me something to talk about on a Wednesday evening that we are now. Both teams kind of looking similar. Saints have obviously won 2 more games than Hull FC, as we just said there, so they're doing a little bit better in the league. But even sort of the conceded points, the tackles are there or thereabouts. Meters very similar. Number of carries sort of up there. I think this does paint quite a picture, though. And that meters number, if you look at it, the reason why that is so similar yet giving such different results in terms of the points scored is that I think the majority of those meters for Hull FC are coming through sort of kick returns. They've got the likes of Lewis Martin, who's he's a bloody runner. Davy Litton's been supporting up there in the rear a lot recently. Bit of a fullback shortage at the minute, of course, but you've also got Briscoe on the other wing, and these guys like to chew up meters from backfield, getting Hull FC on the right foot. Whereas a lot of Saints meters recently are coming through the middle of the field, through Jackson Hastings, Tristan Saylor, Owen Dagnall coming in that sort of broken play, sort of, setting up stuff through the middle from about, 50, 40 meters out from their opponent's line. So that's where they're making up those meters. They're obviously being a little bit more effective looking at the stats, but that doesn't mean they'll be more effective on Thursday night. Let's look at the teams. Now, Hull FC, there's been talks of Saints' misfortune recently. I think that Saints' misfortune is highlighted because they're still doing really well, and it's amazing that they have as many players out as they do, but can still field the team that they can. And I think that's the reason why Saints is being so highlighted. Hull FC they're just destroyed, man. Like, I've tried to highlight here who I would play and where. The second row, I'm sort of a bit stuck at the minute. John Asiata went off again last week. Terrible start to his whole career, John Asiata. And so you have to stick Bell in at loose. Joe Batchelor's injured again. But Cartwright's out, so he can't play there. Liam Knight left, obviously, a few weeks ago, so you can't even really play around with the props that much because they're just light, aren't they, Hull FC? Saints, this is looking like Saints' decided 17 at the minute. I mean, ignoring the forwards because they'll cycle in and out. But I think that back line of Saylor, Felt, Robertson, Cross, Dagnall is pretty set at the minute, given that Murphy hurt his elbow last week. Makes it sound like he sort of scraped it, doesn't it? No, he dislocated his elbow pretty badly. So, he's out for a little while there. But George Whitby, Jackson Hastings, Whitby did a really good job last week in the standoff position, running that line. And like I said, chewing up those sort of midfield meters that Saints like to do. So, Saints here, if you were to pick a team, what team can field their most game plan like team, I think it's Saints. Given that Walmsley's back, Lees is back this week, which would be very interesting to see. So, they're kind of building their Saints. I think Saints are sort of getting back onto the front foot. Hull FC are a bit destroyed. So I think what you're probably going to see this week from both teams is Hull FC. I think they'll take a lesson from their, I was going to say cousins, but, they actually fucking hate each other, don't they? From their foes across the city, and they're just going to try to kick Saints to death. Now, Saints do have Dagnall and Felt in the back play. Tristan Saylor, however, is a little bit of a risk at the back, and Hull FC can exploit that because he likes to be in that line a lot. So I think for Hull FC, you're going to see the likes of Caesar kicking early, probably on the 4th, to try and catch Saylor out, and kicking deep so that Dagnall Felt are sort of caught off on the back foot a little bit, and they can try to pin Saints down in their own half. Saints, on the other hand, they're going to play it very, very close and try to create that broken play. So you've got the likes of Darryl Clark, like I said, Saints doing about 50% more runs from dummy half on average as Hull FC are. So you're going to see the likes of Darryl Clark, George Whitby really taking it to the line to try to poke holes in that Hull defence. I went on a lot last year about Hull's sort of rock-solid defence, and it's holding this year. They're doing a good job. They're holding on to that a little bit. But I think as the season moves on and you keep losing forwards, dynamic forwards as well, and you sort of you're making your backs do a little bit more graft in the middle, they're going to get tired, and I think that really here Saints could open them up and do quite a lot of damage through those scoots with the likes of Whitby, Clark, and Shorrocks. As much as Saints have got injuries, when you look, you can field a team that's got Shorrocks, Clemmer, Hastings, Whitby, and Robertson, Saylor. Like there's a lot of ball playing potential in that team, and they're going to really, really exploit that at the weekend on Thursday to get it out. Maybe not to the wings, but to those centre positions. Which does bring me to a bit of a red card, because all that is what I was going to say as I was putting this presentation together. Hull FC this week have got a bit of an ace in the hole, and so I can't really make any predictions as to what's going to happen with this. But if you look at that number 4 spot, that centre for Hull FC this week, it's Harry bloody Newman, isn't it? Doesn't he play for Leeds? Yes, he did. He did play for Leeds. He's joined Hull FC on a season-long loan. Don't really understand why or how or what. It should be good, though, because he's sort of... Newman and Davy Litton are kind of a very similar player, aren't they? Really, really hit the line. Bit grubby, like to poke through, like to score tries. Here I've got Litton at fullback, Newman and Hardacre in the centres. You could easily slip Hardacre at the back for a nice, safe pair of hands and have Newman and Litton in the centres, and that's basically a mirror image then, isn't it? And you open the field up for Caesar to choose either side to go to, because of course on the other side you've got Martin and Briscoe. So, all that said, I think this is shaping up for a pretty interesting game. However, I think that Saints are just gonna tip it. Hull FC are kicking a little bit better, but Saints are really kicking on a lot better than Hull FC. So what do you think? Thursday night lights at the MKM. Who is going to come out on top? Now, there are a couple of other really good games this weekend. We've got one of those sort of happy hour games, Toulouse versus Hull KR. Huddersfield Leeds is an intriguing one. York versus Lee, it's kind of do or die for both of those teams. So enjoy my other videos. Check my other videos out for other predictions this weekend. And you know what, guys? Enjoy the rugger.